Alright, I've got a pile now. It's taken me, oh, I don't know, 2-3 hours probably. There's a couple things I ran into. I have not run into when I pulled the motor on a Suburban a couple of times, and that is the power steering pump. I've never had to pull that. I pulled the alternator off the bracket, but then just loosened the bracket and kind of laid it forward. It was somewhat in the way, but I was always able to get away with it. But this having Hydro Boost, the lines going to the top, which that was one laying there on the ground, that was about all it had. And it would not get out of my way enough that I could pull the engine without fighting it. So I ended up, and it also has a cooler. So I had to undo 3 lines, and then I just pulled the whole thing. What kind of mayhem I'm going to run into when I go to try to bleed the system out, I don't know. It may not have brakes, or they're going to be hard. I don't know until this thing, gets its, worked out. I don't know. Had one of the water pump bolts fight me pretty bad. Actually, all the water pump bolts looked bad. It's not as far as the threads go, but bolts just in general really look like garbage. So obviously they do sit in, even though they must sit in antifreeze. I've never actually put any type of stuff around them. I may have to do that. Now you guys may be wondering why I keep saying I want my coil packs back, because these are the two sets that came off of the Avalanche to begin with. These are the ones that were on it that I took off this engine behind me off the 03. The reason I like these is because they have built-in heat sinks in each one of the coils, where these do not. Now, I don't know if it really makes that much difference. There's probably people going to tell me, oh, it doesn't make any difference. Well, maybe not. But to me, anytime I see a heat sink on something that gets hot, I would rather have that than just this piece of plastic. So they're going to go back on it. Then I ran into another problem. This is your knock sensor wiring harness. It would not move. That wire would not push through there, and it ended up jerking the whole end of it off. And then the other end broke the knock sensor as it come off, and then I destroyed it trying to get that other one off. So I'm going to have to use a harness that came off of this 01 motor. I don't think it's that big of a difference, but I will look into that. As far as the knock sensors, I'm not sure yet. I hate replacing them, because once you take the factory GM ones out, they just don't seem to work as good. And I'm not sure. I mean, they're kind of expensive to buy. They're like $150 for the harness and 2 good sensors, I believe. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, this is where I'm stopping today. The sun is just beating down. I've got to go to work here in a little bit. This is where I'm at. Air conditioning, I managed to get clear up out of the way, which I have not been able to do on that Suburban because it had the rear AC, so the lines wouldn't let me move it. But I actually got it clear out of the way, which was a surprise. And without that power steering pump, I've got a whole lot more room. I still can't get that manifold out. I'm gonna have to, once the engine comes out, it'll either fall on the ground and break, or I'll have to wire it up there. But I can get it out otherwise it's going to be actually back when I put the engine in. It will be on it, so I won't have to deal with that. Anyway, all I got left is a handful of bolts on the center this plate, because it has to come off, because like I said, I've got that puller I built, and then I've got a ground wire in the back. I've got the cam sensor still hooked up, and the oil pressure sender hooked up, and there may be one more ground wire back on the back of the block I'm not sure about. And outside of that, 1 bolt for the transmission, and this thing's out. So you give me another 30 minutes, this thing would be on the ground. I just don't have time right now. I've got to go to work. So anyway, guys, I'm not sure what part this is, or I'm just going to add it to another one, or it's going to be separate. I don't really know, but this is where it's at. Next time you see it, like I said last time, it'll be out. Well, this time for sure, next time you see it, it'll be out. So see you then. Alright, I told you I wasn't going to make another video until this engine was out, but I thought I'd go ahead and show you how this plate, I mean, I'm not sure how level it's going to be, because the exhaust manifolds aren't on it, and I think it was adding a little extra weight to the back, so it may try to lean forward a bit. I really didn't build any adjustment into it, and I probably should have. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and everything is unbolted. Transmission jack is under it. I think we are ready to pull. Motor mount bolts, of course, are out. Let me see how much slack I got on that transmission now. There we go. Because once you start pulling the weight off of the the motor out of the thing, you know, or your vehicle, then it lifts it up because of the weight difference. All right, this should just come right out. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know if you're supposed to. This grill is different than the 01 was. I've had nothing but trouble with this. Every time I bend over it, I hear cracking. I probably should have pulled it. Oh, a little bit of antifreeze, doesn't it? I don't even want it. What you got to watch is not only all your wiring, but back here, there is a piece of metal that sticks up there, and I think that that's for to stop fuel. If you pop a fuel line off, it doesn't either spray all the way back, or I really don't know what it's for. But it's your fuel line's right up with it, and then your fuel rail. But all of them have it. That at least on the first gens of the LS design, on the trucks anyway. I don't know if the cars have them or not. See, I can already see. I really need to come forward. It looks like I can now. Watch your radiator, because I didn't pull that. There really wasn't a reason to. There's enough space in here, and there's plenty of hood space generally. I could be wrong in this case, but the Suburban had no trouble. So watch your wires. I don't see anything hanging off. I think I got them all. First time. Wow. Keep your hands back too. Last thing you want this thing to do is fall on you. I'm sort of to the advantage where I own my own cherry picker, so I don't have to rent one or borrow one from somebody, so I kind of know the ins and outs of how fast it drops and, you know, the things that they do. Which is barely clearing, but it is. I don't know what you're seeing. Maybe I better look. And you're seeing nothing. Back you up just a little bit here. Yeah. Anyway. Now, here's something else I did. I bought this swivel, which was expensive, and I cannot use it right now because everything is pinned. That's nice. I may have to pull that deal off the back of that thing I was talking about. I think it's going to hit the hood before it clears. Yeah, it's not going to let me twist it. I guess I should have twisted it while it was down there. I can, if need be. Yeah. I'm going to trip on some stuff. Let me walk in front of the camera too. Cheat just a bit. I'm going to need me a stick of some type. Let's see what I got. you got to be careful of doing this, but you have the space to do this. Does that make any sense? It's ugly, but will work. Hang on. Okay. What I did, you may not have been able to see it in camera. What I did was, I can pull it forward a bit. I'll show you when I get this thing out. There ain't no sense in messing with it right now. Pull a little further forward. Let me see what you're looking at here. I have no cameraman. I'm not too good at it myself. You ain't missing nothing if you can't see it. I'm just putting the engine lower. Okay. Let me get my gloves off here. I'll pull you off the tripod. Well, there it is in its glory. I'll tell you something I did find, and I don't think it'll have anything to do with oil pressure. I'm looking at something. I heard a big old pop earlier, but I don't see what it was. Doesn't look like anything is no longer attached. It sounds like it's coming from the back, but I may have gotten into wiring harness. I'm gonna have to look the wiring over anyway. I'm gonna clean this up. There's my spark plug. Plus there's an extra one that is not mine. And there's probably a couple of motor mount bolts back here. That piece of wood you see down there was two of them. That was for the oil pan to rest on, just in case the jack let go the other day, because I had all the bolts out. And I don't think it did. I picked it up and one of them fell out anyway, it looks like. So anyway, I'm going to do a cleaning on this. And got to pull this manifold out. It's just sitting in there anyway. So it is something. Now you see that wire back there? When I go to put this back in, if that thing is where it's at, I'm going to crush it. So when you go to put them back in, make sure everything's out of the way. Because that is a killer of your project when you destroy something. And especially something electronic. Anyway, I'm going to give this thing a cleaning and pull that manifold. Don't forget to put the manifold on at least the driver's side prior to installing the engine, because there's just no way you can do it otherwise. I could not get it out of there. I possibly could have dropped the drive shaft and maybe wormed it out that way, but I don't know. There was very little space there. Now I pulled those long tubes out before, but mind you, the cats weren't there. And it unbolted there, and I was able to pull those long tubes out both sides without having to I could put them in after the engine was in. So the stock manifolds I could not do, at least with the factory cats, and there's no way to get that out without taking everything out. You can unbolt the stuff and maybe get a little bit more space back here at the flange, but anyway, this is what they look like when they're out. Motor mount setup is real simple. Basically, once it lines up with the transmission, you drop it, it's in place. It really can't go anywhere else hardly. At least not that I found. Every one of them, once they line up, they just fall right into place. And I made video of that going back in. I'd like to do it today, but I don't know if it's going to happen. It's on and off trying to rain, and then the sun comes out and it's just so hot you cannot stand to be around it. Okay, what I did find with this, when I went to pull this apart, it obviously had an oil leak, and they thought it was a valve cover gasket, and you can see they siliconed the crap out of everything. I'm not sure what you're seeing. It's real bright now. I can't see the screen, but anyway, and they siliconed this, and that side they did too. And I had one extra gasket laying around, and I thought this side was leaking, so I pulled it when I put the coil packs on. Just try that. Like I said, try to get rid of that mess. And I put that on there, the new gasket, and it still was leaking, and I couldn't figure out why. When I pulled this out, both these bolts here were barely finger tight, and you can see it's been leaking back here. I've already got a new oil sending unit because I don't trust that one, I am going to have to get a temperature sensor. Not only did I break the one on there, this one was already broken, just barely touching. That does not help the way it was running either. I could see a lot of other flaws in this setup. Whoever had worked on it did not do a very good job. So anyway, I'm going to try to find some date codes on this motor to find out if it had been replaced, like out of a salvage yard or something. I'm just not sure. I'm going with probably not. But since this flex plate looks to be pretty new, I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it on when I pull it, and you can tell that the torque converter at least had been painted. I don't know if there's date codes, if that's date codes on them or what. Now mind you, this is an 04. I don't see anything on there that's even close to an 04. I know this transmission has been apart. I know it's been apart. Maybe I better say it that way. I don't know if it's been rebuilt. I'm just guessing that because it's even painted on the inside. And I've had these apart enough, these 4L60s. I've had 3 or 4 of them. The Tahoe, the Suburban, and none of them in my pickup, and none of them were painted this color. And I've had other trucks too. I had an 02 HD, well, the 4L80, my 01 HD, and none of them were painted this color. So I know this thing has been painted, which means it's been apart at least, or a reman or something. I don't really know. So anyway, so this is where we're at. I'm going to continue on. Now that I got this, I will have to use these valve covers, so I'll pull them off, and this one here won't be bad because, like I said, I had it off. That one's going to have a bunch of silicone took off. They didn't replace the gaskets, they just siliconed it and stuck it back on. Man, I just don't get it. That AC bracket, in this case, I could put it on after the engine was in. If you run a Tahoe or Suburban with rear AC, you need to put it on prior to putting it in. And the reason I'm telling you that is because your compressor has very little movement, because the lines go into the back and the lines go into where you think that you could move it, and you can some, but you don't have near as much movement as you do these. That just has a single, lines going to the evaporator. But anyway, so just keep that in mind. It's probably better just to put it on immediately, and that way you know. Of course, these motor mounts will have to go on. I'll check them to see what kind of shape they're in. This crank sensor has possibly been replaced. I'm not really sure, but I wasn't getting a code on it, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. And I destroyed the knock sensors. I probably said that on yesterday's video, or the video I made yesterday anyway. And I had to order some from some GM units. I probably told you that, but I had to, because those are bad, and all of them are bad. I don't trust any of them, so it's just easier to buy them. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here, and next time you see it, this will probably be going in. Well, not this one, but the other one. So that one. So anyway, we'll talk to you later.